Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton Knave, our continuing journey through the King Crimson catalogue. Look at all these ones we've done already. We've done all of those. And obviously we've sort of passed a fulcrum art in that we've done Larks, Songs, and Aspic last week. So now the live stuff. First three of which were done before the recording of Larks, Songs, and Aspic, which didn't happen until 73, perhaps end of 72, 73 maybe. The first one of these is live at the Zoom Club, same place that the previous band warmed up at. They didn't record stuff at the Zoom Club, so this is an audience recording, so it's a horrible, wretched sound. Supposedly this is the first. They did several dates, and allegedly this is the first one. How can they be sure? Yeah, it doesn't matter, because now it is. Because there it is, it says the date on it, so it is. Obviously hugely important, because there's no improvs. Well, there's improvisation on Larks, Songs, although some of it is jamming. The improvs. It's all about the improvs with this lineup, like I said. And for the first time we get these, Bill Bruford came of age with this era. Really learning through Jamie Muir about what you can do with percussion. It doesn't have to be just very tight drumming like in Yes. Obviously a lot is said about the Muir era and about how fantastic it was, and physically seeing the guy jumping around, but also the cacophony of percussion, of all whistles and everything going on. But supposedly we can't hear half of it, that's what's suggested. So all these recordings we've got, because it just wasn't recordable. At the time, to record something like that would be ridiculous. So yeah, the improvisation. The improvisation is very bombastic at this stage. And generally the improvisations are all very similar. There's a quiet bit and there's a sort of bong, 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 funky thing. So it took time to get them going. If you've already heard the later improvisation stuff, it seems kind of superficial. But it is still a massive leap from what was going on before. This is European music. As I said, it's Fripp called it What If Bartok Played Hendrix, but now it's kind of What If Stravinsky Played Hendrix, which is kind of amazing, really. Obviously, the experience of improvisation can be quite a realisation. In that, Fripp says the music plays through you. Best music plays through you. You don't play it yourself. The music plays through you. And I think I've said this before, but I don't believe that literally. I think Fripp believes that literally in some sort of spiritual sense. But I think that you can't let your ego get in the way. If you think I'm going to do this, you'll end up sounding like Van Halen. But the best music, you let yourself go, really. It's about accessing your subconscious, accessing your creativity, isn't it, really? And then it feels like the music's just coming from somewhere. I just don't take it literally. Supposedly, when they went on stage the first time at this first gig, allegedly, this is what Jamie Muir says, they said to each other, well, what should we play? Really? They didn't decide to improvise until the moment before they went on stage? I don't know about that. They probably did have that conversation at some point, but I don't believe it was just before they went on stage. I know Fripp and Eno did do that, and that would be much more believable. So I think that's a bit apocryphal. I'm sure they had the conversation, but not quite so near to the gig. We have not only the stuff from, obviously they play the whole of Larks, Songs. There's no old material at all at this stage. In these improvisations we do hear themes of things that were still to come. So there's obviously stuff that's been written in the improvisations that's being played. We get the riff from One More Red Nightmare at one point, which comes back later on. And also Fallen Angel, the bit played as a little jam, which is really good actually. It's kind of compact as well, it's really good. Bear in mind this is only 18 months after the previous lineup debuted for the first time. So it's not very long. It's like when people talk about the Beatles, how much they did in such a short space of time. All this happened very quickly. And as they get older, things slow down for whatever reason. But it's sort of more through necessity, I suppose, that they have to keep going. Jamie Muir talks about the characteristic of the band was restraint. Really? That's not the word I would use. But maybe I get where he's coming from, in that straight away they're hearing each other. So with the previous band, Boz and Ian Wallace would get a groove going, and Mel Collins would just have a blow and it would sound great, and there'd be a bit of a groove going on, but it wouldn't be like synchronised. Here there's bits of the improvisations that sound like they're pre-planned because they're so synchronised, but they're not. They're just following each other. And another thing Jamie Muir points out is how Fripp does let rip occasionally. He gets out of his shell. Obviously he's not a natural person who can sort of let out, and it's the classical training obviously gives him that sort of very close, controlled way of playing. That means he can't let himself out. But obviously at this point, this is, if you like, the best moment, isn't it? Whenever there's a new King Crimson band, it's always that first couple of months is the exciting time. Not necessarily the best music, and in this case, the best is still to come with the live stuff actually, but we'll talk about that later. Jeremy Muir wanted to call it the benefits of drowning, which is good, because obviously improvisation, it's all about you try it and you fail. But if like a bit of it works, if 20% of it works, that's a successful improvisation, you know. And obviously when you drown with music, you don't die, so you can carry on, it's fine. Track 1 is Larks songs in Aspic. First ever performance of this song. Remember, the album is out, so you know. And yet, of course, it isn't, is it? Because it was already performed by Islands. It actually predates Islands, so it was in the Islands sessions in a different arrangement. So by the time it's got to here, this is fully formed. It wouldn't really change for the album or after that. Very, very intense, obviously. Sound suffers. If this was recorded properly, it would have been awesome. Track 2 is Book of Saturday. It says Book of Saturday, but we know at that point it was called Daily Games, actually. And this one is very different because it has drumming, which is really interesting. You think about it, in Yes, Bill Bruford would have played the drums to this song, but in King Crimson he learnt when not to play. That's a huge part of what he does in King Crimson. Sometimes he's not playing. Track 3 is Zoom. It doesn't say improv for this one, but it is an improvisation. The next two improvisations are quite long. Like I said, it's a huge jump from the previous band. It's a bit all over the place, Zoom, but they're obviously building up to what they're doing. So this is kind of the warm-up. So track 4 is Zoom Zoom, which is labelled as an improv. I mean, I like the title, the fact they called it Zoom because of the club and Vroom, like naming it after Vroom. And this is where they've got going. If you've already heard The Great Tapestry of Life, that's what these improvisations mostly sound like at this point, and that there isn't as much variations later on. That's what they tend to do. But it's all great. That's the end of the disc, because that second improvisation is 44 minutes long. So disc 2 starts with Easy Money. Completely different intro. It really has a different feel to it. But it starts with the theme on Mellotron. In a way, that track's worth the price of admission. That and the improvisations is why you want this album, really. It's interesting in the intro where they're only playing existing parts of Easy Money that we know, but you hear the link with Ladies of the Road, which is interesting. And there is a link. I do prefer Easy Money to Ladies of the Road, but it's funny how that's there. Vocals, bit dodgy. I suppose you wouldn't have noticed if you didn't already know how it goes later on. I mean, bear in mind, this is John Wetton's lead vocal debut, actually. So he's not doing too badly. And he wasn't a singer at this point in a way. Track 6 is Improv Fallen Angel, and it's the Fallen Angel theme as a little jam. Very nicely done, nice and controlled and short. Very good, really like that. Track 3, Improv Zoom, like baboom. You've got a minute of nothing, and there's a bit of avant-garde sounds, but there's a bit of nothing. It's possible the sound there that we can't hear, that's very quiet, the recording didn't pick up, sadly, and really that's improvising to Exiles, in the way you used to have those very short ones improvising into talking drum, basically. Well, that's okay. Exiles is fully formed, and is usually very similar. And next we have the talking drum. Now, you'd assume it would have been better with Jamie Muir, and maybe it's just because we don't have a properly recorded live version, but I prefer later versions. And Larks 2, and there's better versions to come, but obviously a huge seminal moment. That's probably the most important track in this era, so that's really cool. That's live at the Zoom Club, audience recording. See you next week.